Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here. We are back for another one of our Vaesen campaign episodes. This one is episode 34, L'Espoir Ravivé. This is our Mundus Novus campaign. This is our Vaesen campaign. We are in the third arc. Again, as I always say, if you have not seen the first and second arc, no one else has either. You're in good company. It was not streamed. We are, however, streaming the third arc. We are on episode 34, and I believe the last, 7 have been streamed. So go check that out. And if you'd like to see a recap, a written recap of season 1 and season 2, just pester me about it in the Discord. But most importantly, if you'd like to support the channel and you like the things we do here, the best way to do that is just like these fine folks. Go check us out over on our Patreon, link in the description down below. Click on that link, and while you're down there, join us in the Discord, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. And without further ado, to jump us into into our sad, sad world of New Orleans, we'll jump right in with our previously on Mundus Novus. Fear, desperation, and plea after plea finally awakened the spirits of the dead at the St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, as Cyrus concentrated his gift on one of the recently murdered. The spirit called forth told them of his death, a growing cult, and the cult's belief that a messiah would soon come of age. Breaking free of the seance abated the growing danger from the lingering spirits of the cemetery, and a mixture of fear and anger. And in a mixture of fear and anger, our investigators returned to their hotel. And that is where we will pick up. Everyone had conversations that night, had gone to bed that night, had lingering feelings of dread and doubt and despair, and all around a pretty solemn evening. Fitful sleep, not a restful night, tossing, turning, dreams, waking up in cold sweats. The first to awake this fine morning, and the first to depart, is Signy. We see her leave, dressed in her normal attire, stopping at each of the doors of her companions and slipping a folded piece of paper under their doors before she absconds into the still dark morning. Each of you wakes up, goes about your morning routine, and at some point in your routine you will find the letter. Signy, what does the letter say?
I'll tell you what it says. It's addressed to each of them individually, except for Martha. It says, "Dear Martha and Wyla. Okay. Good morning. When you're ready, I humbly request that you meet me at Saint Lumiere at 10 a.m. Signy." And Cyrus's says, "Troops to rally, mysteries to solve. Signy."
Does it have a little smooch on there?
I
Or a
thought
spray of...
I thought about saying yours or my dearest Cyrus, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna tone that back a little bit.
Spicy 1800s.
Yeah.
XO.
It has one of those little spritzes of your perfume on there.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Yeah. That's good.
Oh man.
So it's something subtle, not too overstated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
wait, was that intentional? Could have been an accident? Yeah. I like the ambiguity.
So each of you goes through your fairly typical, albeit maybe a little bit more slowly, your morning routine as the events of yesterday still linger in the mind of what you saw. There were some terrifying moments there. There was some genuine anger and fear and self-doubt and collective doubt about whether you are fitting for this mission, this job, this new career venture you have all taken, whether you are in over your heads, and the weight of that still presses heavy on the shoulders as each of you begins your day. We will montage through the day as everyone sort of gets ready, but we will stop as you all have, a breakfast, a bite to eat. You all see the letter requesting your attendance. We'll stop before we get to Saint Lumiere on Alec. Alec, what are you doing this fine morning?
Mike, it's a morning of letters. So Alec, you would have seen a dressing montage and everything, and then the discovery of the letter. But Alec is not in a hurry. They sit down at the secretary desk that is in their room. Emerson, of course, always at their side, rests their chin or their little head on Alec's lap. And Alec strokes the top of his head, and they begin to write a letter of their own. And the letter starts with mother. And Alec's hand is elegant, right? A very elegant hand. But the cursive for mother is particularly scrawling and lovely. And then it continues. It must indeed come as a surprise to receive this letter from your prodigal child after so many long years have elapsed in silence. I am mindful that we did not part on the best of terms, and I own with all humility the responsibility for such estrangement. It is my sincere hope that we are now, at the very least, of one accord, that my transgressions are mine alone, and that the just balance of Providence dictates that I alone should bear whatever burdens my choices have brought upon me. I trust that the passage of years has brought you only peace and contentment, and that your days have been filled with abundant joy. If I may permit myself the liberty to recall your nature, I am assured that in all these years you have continued to discharge your duties with the utmost care and consideration, and that you have dispensed kindness and affection with your accustomed grace to all those under your watchful care. Surely then, those whom you cherish must thrive in health, happiness, and security. It is the fervent hope of my heart that you may assure me that such is true, that one day we shall be reconciled, and on that blessed occasion you will meet me not with reproach, but with the warmth of forgiveness and compassion for which I know you are singularly capable. I entreat you to write me at your earliest convenience, and to name a date and time that we might meet once more. I reside again in New Orleans. The memories of this place and of my sojourn together with you were dim at first, but circumstances have thrust them into clarity. Did Paul not say it best? For now I see in a mirror dimly, but then I shall see face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know fully, just as I also have been fully known. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, and I reasoned as a child. But when I became a man, I put away my childish things. My address is enclosed herein. With the utmost reverence, I remain ever your devoted child, Alec McKinley.
Wow. Wow. You got me lost for words. Okay. So we see that letter written. We see that letter written as Alec joins the throng of her companions. There is, as is often, there is a mail area for local deliveries and post deliveries in a hotel such as this, and you can drop that off if you'd like to have it delivered. And we'll cut from there, where the camera will see, some morning chit chat as a toast is grabbed, something of the kind, something small and simple, as Alec, Martha, Willa, William, and Cyrus make their way down the streets of New Orleans, headed towards Saint-Lumière. As they arrive, Signy, what do they see?
When they push open the doors of the church, both doors, not just one, push open both doors. They see her standing at the far end on the dais where that big table was. Sorry, it was like the stone thing with all the symbols put on it.
It's the altar.
The altar, thank you. It was big though, wasn't it, or was it small?
Yeah, it's like a like a Catholic pulpit.
Sure.
It's like a big stone thing where the priest stands in front of and does his priestly stuff.
Okay. So she has the table like kind of moved in the center, and she's standing on the other side like a teacher waiting to receive her class. And when they all come in, she just smiles at them. She's still dressed in her clothes from yesterday. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, you all see this as Signy sort of waits with open arms for you to attend her.
She smiles and goes, "Good morning," and she gestures for them to sit in the pews.
Alec nods and sits.
Cyrus just kind of gets a half smile and sits and like just gives you a little bit of a nod, like, all right, let's do this. Go ahead.
Yeah, she gives him a little smile. And once everyone sits, she looks at them all and she takes a deep breath. I wish I didn't have to stand here. I'm terrified. I'm exhausted. But she looks to Alec. But I know I'm here because of the choices I made and secrets I chose to keep. I let those secrets define who I was. I don't want this to be my legacy within the Men of Letters, or for it to be the thing that shapes me in your eyes. We are the people I saw in my dream. All 6 of us. In the alley across from the entrance to Cemetery Number 1. The night we arrived here, there was a 7th victim. Madeline Bedreau. And she, like, absentmindedly, like, fiddles with her pendant. I recognize the pendant around her neck. I've been having the same dream every night. I'm sorry I kept it from you. I betrayed your trust, and in so doing, I put you all in danger. I hope to earn back that trust, if you'll have it. And then she leans her hands on the table, and she, like, pauses just to, like, hang her head for a moment before looking back up at everyone. I think we all have secrets. And believe me when I say I understand why you might be keeping them. I understand that fear can I understand how that fear can petrify you. So please hear me when I say I will not judge you. When you're ready to let go of some of that weight, I'll help you hold it. And then she looks to Cyrus and holds his gaze. And then she's thinking about the words they parted on last night. I think we'll all help.
Yeah, he just gives you a very subtle nod, like, well done.
And she just nods and kind of sits back, as in signaling that that's all that she officially had to say.
Very courageous, Signy.
Well, like I said, I feel apology was very warranted. And Cyrus and I talked, and my fear in keeping this secret from you, I think I'm pretty sure that's what helped contributed to the seance last night getting a little out of control. I was holding back, which made Cyrus have to try harder. So I'm also sorry for any distress that may have caused. I don't remember what happened in the actual seance, but yeah.
Martha's squirming a little bit as she's feeling uncomfortable with all these talk of secrets. But she does say, that's okay. I'm sure you had your reasons, and I'm sure that it's good that we would remember that if anybody else have secrets, that they probably have their reasons too.
Yes, and I'm not saying this for everyone for us to have a sit down and share, like I understand. So if anyone feels comfortable with something they want to share, you can talk to me about it. But there's no pressure. It was this was just very relevant to our situation. So
And it is important to share if there are things in our pasts that are relevant to the situation that might put the rest of us in danger. So we might all help each other and protect one another. And it does seem that a lot of us have history here in this city. And so perhaps we have more to share here than we have before.
On the mention of history, Martha squirms more, so much so that it's probably noticeable to anybody that is paying even half attention. She tries to change the subject by pointing out that there were symbols on the altar. And didn't we see some symbols last night? Blood, salt, water, mercury. Do those match up with any of the symbols here?
They do not match up with the symbols here, but they do match up with the symbols. You do recall seeing them before, and you actually took a book out of the library or a page out of the library with symbols on them. And in fact, I believe if Martha can pull back to her memory, you actually drew some of those symbols with your automatic writing when you were in the library with Alec.
But we still don't know really what they signify, other than their blood, salt, water, and mercury, but we don't. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
I did see a symbol in one of the visions I had when I was out, I guess. They were bodies in the water of the bayou, and they all had a glowing crescent moon carved on them. And Mike, was the crescent moon like a C, or was it like inverted or anything weird like that?
No, it was like the way that a crescent moon would appear in the sky.
Okay.
Does that match up with the symbol for blood, salt, water, and mercury?
I don't think so. But it does match up something else you have seen. And Signy, you were one of the people that had seen it.
Yes.
I believe it was carved into certain corpses.
Yeah.
As if ritualistically.
Yes.
Alec has had a stormy look on their face, but that's not particularly remarkable. At some point,
Sure
they
it
clear their
is.
throat as chatter continues, and they say, "Well, Emerson needs a walk. I'll be right back." And they excuse themselves and call Emerson.
Okay. We'll follow that camera. Where does Alec go?
Alec goes to walk Emerson, and Melissa goes to get a glass of water. I'll be right back.
Oh.
And we'll come with you, Melissa.
And bring your camera with you. Let's see the walk, please. Show us on a house tour.
Tour time.
Jesus. Perfect. So Alec excuses themselves and heads out with Emerson, sort of abruptly, which is, sort of typical.
In character.
Yeah, sort of typical for Alec. Whether they are mad or whether they are just stoking in the information is, up to your own interpretation. What is everyone else doing in this sort of silence?
Well, William
so-
is, I'm sure, slumping down into his pew/chair, never fully awake at this point, especially if breakfast was rushed and he hadn't had at least 6 or 7 cups of tea or coffee.
I
Of
gave you
course.
till 10 a.m.
His secrets are pretty much not secret anyway. I think everybody kind of knows what the fuck is going on in his brain. So,
Yeah, he's a little transparent that way.
yeah, he, as far as what bothers him and all that, tend to he kind of wears all that on his sleeve or shirt, however that saying goes. So, I'm sure he was nodding along to what Signy was saying, and immediately probably fell half back asleep, trying to fix his glasses that he fell asleep in wearing again. So they're twisted a little bit and never quite getting them perfect.
Okay. Martha, to answer your question, or I think it was your question, the symbol on the body that Signy has mentioned, the crescent moon, is the symbol for silver.
Okay.
Right, so Cyrus has been holding his gaze on Martha as she changes the subject, and says, "Little silver blood aside, Martha, you're looking like you have something more to share with us this morning. What's
Who,
on your
me?
mind?" Yes.
I was just, I don't know what you're talking about.
The way you're moving in the pew there, you look like you've got a weight on your shoulders that you'd like to put down.
I just have to go to the ladies' room.
Afraid that you're going to the outhouse, my dear.
All right. Well, just know that all things are lighter when you let your friends help you carry the load.
Signy
And
nods.
we are your friends, and you can trust us. And I'll be asking again.
Where is the ladies' room around here anyway?
It's an outhouse.
Yeah, it's outside behind
It's
the
an
church.
outside. Yeah, it's a little shed outside by the graveyard.
Martha skitters out. Can't get to the ladies' room fast enough.
There's only room
Wyla
for
just
one
sits there
person, though.
confused.
For one, so Wyla can't go.
Yeah, Wyla thinks she's missed several things as she looks around, and like she had a meaningful conversation with Cyrus the night prior, and like took away more or less what she needed to. And then there's an entire conversation of secrets where like Wyla's just looking around at everyone. Because, like, she knows in her mind that this secret conversation is not meant for her. You guys found her secret when you found her, that her mom was in a cult. And then she, like, looks around at everyone, as in, like, the person who definitely turned in their homework, and the teacher's like, well, who did it? And she just looks around, and then Alec leaves, and she just follows her gaze out. And then Cyrus leans over next to Wyla, and she's just side-eyeing Martha as Martha gets up and leaves. And like I think as you like reset back to normal, Cyrus, Wyla just looks over to you and just raises her eyebrows. And then just sort of like does that like shifty eye back and forth thing, as in like everyone here, you guys got some shit going on.
And when Martha scuttles out of the room, Signy's just like, Cyrus, can you tone it down a little bit? If you intimidate her, she's not gonna want to share. I'll be back, essentially, is what you told her.
She'll share.
I will ask again.
Yeah, I will ask again.
Oh, Martha has a long history of authority. She does respond whether she likes it or not. So, besides, through it.
Grumpy cop and grumpy cop.
She just shakes her head and like tries not to smile. So she's like, and then she's like trying to like suppress a grin behind her hand.
And then Cyrus just kind of turns to Wyla, just like pats her on the knee and goes, "Don't worry, I'll fill you in later. You didn't miss anything."
Weird. Wyla looks around the room at everyone. Well, everyone who's left, right? William half asleep, Cyrus and Signy, who are clearly conspiring, in some colluding at a minimum. And she just stands out of one of the pews and just starts to busy herself with like looking around the room. And as Martha is gone and as Alec is gone, and I imagine as there is like a soft snore coming from one of the pews, Wyla just sort of turns back and says, what now?
Well, we have a mystery to solve. I'm assuming we're all still gung-ho about doing that.
The faster we get that solved
Yeah.
and get this all cleaned up and the city is safe, the faster we're all out of mortal danger. So I like that plan.
Alec returns and says, "I second that."
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think we were moving here, so I figured we'd be headed back. Where do we go? Where do we go?
Well, and she moves her papers around with all the clues that they've gathered so far, and I'm still not. And she has Martha returned?
Martha will have returned, and looking less squirmy and with some visible powder on her nose, just so you know she went.
Feeling better, Martha?
Much, thank you.
Excellent.
So and she'll look at Martha when she sits down. I'm still not sure where these symbols are important. I'm not saying they're not important. I just don't know where they fit in.
Maybe the witch knows.
Lillian, you mean? Ms.
Well,
Gauthier?
the yes, the witch at the herb shop.
Yes,
and
that's possible.
And I think she might also be able to tell us when the next blood moon is, because aren't we supposed to stop this ritual before? We should probably know what our timeline is.
Yeah. Well, I guess half in game, half out of game. It depends on what they mean by blood moon.
Well, it sounds like a witchy thing.
Well, from what I can recall from my childhood, a blood moon is another term for a lunar eclipse. So,
well, yeah, but witches keep track of all that stuff. It's known.
It is known, yes. She looks at Alec. Didn't Lillian have something in her journal about some kind of meeting?
Oh, yes, there was that Margot Lafleur person. That meeting?
Yeah, like wasn't it cycled wasn't it dated around where the full moon was? She might know about lunar cycles.
Not the ley lines journal, I presume. I think you might be talking about the her business journals.
Yeah,
yes,
like her
in her business journals there was a recurring meeting. In it, I believe it seemed like it was perhaps a coven. Mike, can you remind us? Was it like a I think that's what I remember.
It literally was like a date book, and it had a meeting time. I believe it was on a recurring time with Margot Lafleur.
But the last
You
recent
you
one
like
was
broke
Rocky.
over her desk and like was reading her stuff while she was in a seance. So you don't have any context to what it is other than like a note saying at this time Margot LaFleur in a meeting book. So you assume
And it was like a recurring meeting, I think.
yeah, you saw it on there a couple times.
Yep.
Mhm.
My notes say, if I recall correctly, that there were 3 meetings and the last 2 were crossed out, and they all 3 were supposed to happen before the first murder.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Maybe I'm throwing in the whole full the moon cycle thing into that incorrectly. That's possible.
Well, we also had some journalists, or at least the one journalist that we thought was credible that we were going to follow up with.
Yes.
And then Signy, you mentioned that in your vision, we were all there with you. But so was Madame Boudreau, correct?
Yes, not at first, but when I guess our first night back or first night here in the hotel, yes, she was there. I didn't know who she was until we saw her, and I recognized her pendant.
So it might make sense to, since I think it's a bit intimidating for all of us to be talking to the journalist or a large group, perhaps maybe some of us can go and interview him, and one or two of us can just check in on Madame Boudreau. I think if she's in your vision, she might be in some danger, and it might make sense for at least one or two of us to check in on her.
Sure, though my gut feeling is telling me that we need to keep our interactions with her now limited. Because if she's the reason why we're here, she could become a target if we start dropping her name everywhere.
Makes sense.
Signy, did you say that the pendant you recognized was the one on Madame Boudreau?
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
like an eye or something like that. Oh no, sir, it was a fleur-de-lis. It was a fleur-de-lis pendant that her husband gave her. Yeah. Gerard.
Oh, and Gerard was the pastor here at
Yeah.
this church.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so she moves her papers around and brings up the list of the journalists. I think it's Jean-Paul Fontaine, the one who we were interested in. The guy who wrote sensational articles, or at least sensationally titled articles, but appear to be holding back more information than he was putting forward.
Close, but Jean-Paul Fontaine is the person. He wrote the most sensible articles.
Yeah.
Yes. Remy Dubois wrote sort of in the middle articles, and Lucas Grant wrote the most sensationalized.
But Fontaine is the one who seemed to know more than he was letting on.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to be the actual journalist. One of them seemed to be very amateur hour and was like just on like very clickbait, as it were. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's the lack of sleep, but I was thinking, what's one thing that secret, weird, evil cults don't like? That's lots of attention. So perhaps this is just an idea that I was tossing around this morning while I was making my way out here. What if we started sharing the nature of this supposed ritual that's upcoming? There has to be other people out there who wouldn't want this to happen.
Sure.
The right
Share it
circles,
with who?
obviously.
The journalist?
She shrugs. Maybe the journalist. What about the gonna get this wrong. Marine Nouveau? Levo, Levo,
Laveau.
Levo. Didn't you say you knew her, Martha, or you had frequented, or am I metaing that? Did you not say that out loud that you knew
I
her?
think I said knew. No, I think I did say that I knew. Yes. I
Okay.
do know her because she did my mother's hair and my hair. And
Okay.
I do think I told you that.
I think so. I can't remember now. It's like, if you know this head witch, maybe she would want to know if something grossly untoward is happening in her around her city. Maybe even
Well, she knows everything. I'm sure she already knows.
and she kind of sits back. That's a disconcerting thought.
The real question is if we're saying that there are two types of witches running around, bad and like really, really bad being the two groups. Which group is she in? Is she in just the regular bad witches or is she in the really, really bad witches?
Couldn't there be a third one where she's a good witch?
Witches aren't good. It's known.
Well, I think that's your opinion, Martha.
It clearly says that sorcery and witchcraft in the Bible is absolutely forbidden.
Well, that doesn't mean that it's evil or
It
bad.
absolutely means it's evil and bad. Everybody knows that.
The Bible says a lot of things that are not true, right?
Blasphemy.
Well,
Martha is clearly offended.
Do you eat shellfish when you lived here in New Orleans?
There goes any chance of Martha confiding any secrets to Signy.
Do you wear mixed linens, Martha?
It doesn't work
wearing
if it's
several-
good cop, mean cop.
Yeah, you are wearing several different fabrics, Miss Martha.
Oh, God.
You are posing as a nun, Martha.
It's like I thought you were good cop, so I had to go above and beyond that.
Bad cop, worse cop. That's not the plan.
So what
That's
I told you, it's
besides-
grumpy cop and grumpy cop. It's not
Yeah.
good.
For what it's worth, I just did a search on whether or not the Bible says anything about witchcraft because I wasn't sure. And so it says, this is good. It says that in Exodus it prohibits tolerating sorceresses. In Leviticus it prohibits divination and soothsaying. Also in Leviticus, people familiar with spirits or ghosts should be put to death by stoning. And it goes on in the same fashion. So, I feel like the men of letters are in
Irrefutable proof.
trouble.
It says right
Yeah.
there.
She
Martha
weighs the
picks
same as
up
a
the
duck.
Bible and shows her all of the passages.
All of
like
Leviticus.
duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw some Deuteronomy in there.
I was thinking we have like a million Bibles sitting in the pews here, but they've probably all been removed.
I'm sure
one of
Martha
them,
has one on
I
her.
think Deuteronomy specifically says don't fuck with necromancers. Like it literally says
Solid advice.
anyone who consults with spirits, get rid of them. So like Cyrus out,
Yeah.
stoned.
Cyrus just says, those are all loose translations from other languages. You can't trust the actual words.
Yep. Yeah, it literally says anyone who consults with a ghost or familiar spirit shall be stoned. This is one of them. So,
Martha, upon finding that passage, leans over to Cyrus and says, maybe you should lighten up on the seances a little bit.
Signy doesn't bites her tongue.
Signy just underlines soothsayer, and then hands it to Martha for some reason.
No, I'm just like, maybe we should double down on the seances. Well, this is besides the point. Martha. we have to use the resources we have available to us. And look at Miss Gautier, perfectly lovely woman. You think she's evil?
AKA evil witch, but you know, we can still save her soul.
You should ask her if she's okay with that.
Yeah, yes, Martha. We should use our positive influence to save her soul.
Exactly.
So we shall meet with her.
I think that's an excellent idea. I'll make sure to highlight all the passages in the Bible, and that way I'll have them ready for her when we talk to her. So she, you know,
So not
so
going
she
to
knows
happen.
the error of her ways.
Just in case you might need them. Right? You can use that as your backup plan.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know that you need to open with that.
Yeah, don't worry, you haven't missed much. We're just bitching
We're
at each
just-
other,
Yeah,
man.
you're good, man.
Sorry, it's just the kid aggro is intense today.
Martha's about ready to take out her nun habit and take out a big old sign and start stopping, you know.
Oh, did
Like,
she?
the end is near, right? And start stopping people.
Yeah,
Is she
Mar-
wearing her
Bible.
habit today again?
Oh, of
Is it
course.
okay? Yeah.
course,
Every
yeah.
day.
Martha's making it clear that we're all damned to hell. Is basically what's going. Which we knew.
All right.
I mean, listen, again, anyone who consorts with spirits, and Martha, you consorted with spirits just last night. So
Not on purpose.
Secrets.
it doesn't, the irony of the Bible, it doesn't give a shit about on purpose. It just says anyone who does it,
Mhm.
dead.
And I think that's what Martha knows.
Yeah.
Martha
Yeah.
knows.
Now she's trying to atone.
Yeah.
I just have to find a priest and hurry up and get to confession.
Cyrus
Anyway.
he thinks
That's
she
true.
does protest too much.
Signy kind of like hits her fist on the table, not like aggressively or anything, but just like to get people's attention. We're getting off topic. Do you guys want to come up here and stand around the table and look at what we've gathered? I feel like a professor. William, are you awake?
Very, very well, Signy. Very well.
William is half awake, but yes.
Martha goes up to the table, but makes sure that she stands on the opposite side of Signy because, you know, the blasphemer.
Yep.
Oh, hey, wait. Like, quick mechanics question, Mike. We jumped into this game. We were talking before the game about how staying at hotels now cures conditions. I've been
Two.
assuming that Alec is pissed off, but maybe
Two.
Alec is not.
Two of
Great.
your choice.
Lovely. Okay.
Everyone
you.
everyone can heal two of their
Okay,
choice.
fine. I guess I won't be frightened anymore. I'll be
No
conditioned.
longer
free.
I mean,
I said
Alien
you you
You could
may
still be
heal up
frightened.
to
You
two.
just don't have the condition, right?
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
difference,
yes.
right?
The
Not
conversation.
so much that it's affecting your
Yeah, the conversation with
investigation.
Cyrus helped relieve the hopelessness. So, yeah, I think from the morning she's no longer frightened; she's more determined.
Okay.
So we want
And
to.
then Cyrus goes and stands right next to Martha and just smiles.
Jesus Christ! Someone is sassy this morning.
A little bit.
So we want to go talk to Miss Gautier and go talk to the gentleman at the Crescent Observer.
Yes.
Is that not what we were discussing?
I'm reiterating and confirming that that's what we want to do.
I think that's what we should do, especially now that we've all made it very clear that people's souls are in danger.
Firstly, though, their lives.
Both would be good to save, but we have to
Yes.
prioritize.
Of course. I apologize, Martha. I'm not trying to antagonize you. I guess I'm feeling a little out of sorts this morning. I did not sleep well.
Well, I should say so. I'm certain you didn't mean to say any of those things about the Bible not being accurate.
So who
You're-
wants to go?
You're not alone, Signy. I myself have been out of sorts. Yes, I think you're right. We need to focus. We need to recenter ourselves and uh get past all of this. Martha, will you come with
Yes,
us? Let us
of course.
let us move forward.
And-
Should it be the shop or the newspaper? Which first?
Do we want to go all together or do we want to split up?
For now, I would say perhaps we stay together.
Okay. Then I say maybe we should go to the Crescent Observer. We were just at Miss Gautier's yesterday, and I don't know how much of a, other than Cyrus, she gives him a raised eyebrow. I'm not sure the impression that we left on her.
She did offer assistance.
To Cyrus.
Oh yeah. Well, you got me.
And then she knows that we went through her things. So
Listen, I understand if Signy doesn't want to send Cyrus to the
To
pretty
talk
witch
to her
lady
alone.
no, Cyrus
all
would be
by
on-
himself.
thing.
Cyrus would be the top of the list to go talk to her.
Clearly, yeah.
The most logical choice.
Yeah.
They have
Signy's all about logic.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm not threatened at all
At
by
all.
this bohemian goddess that you described.
Did I post a picture of her? Because she is absolutely a bohemian goddess. I think I had a
Yeah,
picture
you did
somewhere.
at some point.
I think you did.
Yeah. Let me see here. What the hell was her name? Lillian.
Lillian Gautier.
Did I not make a character sheet for her? Like a jerk?
No, I think you
Oh
just
no,
shared
I
a
put it.
picture
I
in
put
the
it. I put it
Discord.
in the Verdant Vale. Here you go. I'll post it up for everyone to see. Here you go. Show to players. Oh, it's not visible. That's why. Well, guess you can't see.
That's fine. I can imagine. Yeah. So you sorry, was Alex suggestion that we all stick together? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. It was pretty scary at the seance last night. I think Alec would be wanting to have some safety in large numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So the Crescent Observer first.
Yeah.
Okay. Outstanding.
Who do we want to be leading the conversation?
Well, I've done some research and I did a whole bunch of research before we left. Mechanically, I have a +2 to all my Crescent Observer interactions, so that's my advantage for the
Yep.
thingy.
For some reason, I tend to rub people the wrong way.
It's not for some unknown reason, Alec, but you're also really good at it.
What?
She grins at them.
This is an audacious episode.
This is the
Mar-
most sass we've ever passed on. I guess we're friends.
Like just to each other. Usually, like I'm so glad I'm not here because usually you're doing this to my NPCs. So in lieu of any NPC, all you have to do is be shitty to each other, and I'm living for it.
Yeah.
I think the best part is character-wise, all of our characters are exhausted.
Yeah.
In person, before the game started, we all established we're all people as actually exhausted. We're just playing it out. It's awesome.
Martha ignores the question about who's going to lead because she's very involved with her highlighter.
Basic book? What? Okay. Yes, well, I don't mind taking point as long as I have some steady backup in these conversations.
No, are you? Oh, of course you need my help. I will be there. Of course. I'll support you.
Yes, Alec, you're a lot more eloquent than I am, right? So your help is always, always valued. And William, you have the medical knowledge of the when we assisted with the autopsies. A nice strapping doctor is always a good resource to have on your side.
And when
William will
she
look-
says,
no,
yeah.
William will look down at himself when she says strapping, like,
It's like
Now Martha just thinks Signy's trying to get around on top of it.
For
Jesus.
the record, I just want to say, of course you need my help is the quote tagline for Alec.
It is. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well,
That's your
William-
iconic quote. Of course you need my help.
Blasphemer and a tramp.
Mhm. Who, me?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
She gives
we have
she
so
gives
much
one she
spice
gives one
this
little kiss
game.
to Cyrus and she's off the
What?
fucking chain. Wow.
I bet she's showing an unseemly amount of ankle.
Yeah. Both her ankles are showing. You just can't see them.
It's bad enough that Alec wears pants. It's a whole
Yeah.
shunned by society.
Well, perhaps when we go, then I will maybe tend to Emerson, and let the three of you take point on the conversation, as it were.
Oh my god. In that case,
What's the dog?
to save from our players cannibalizing themselves before I get to attack them with any werewolves, let's go ahead and we will transition. Unless there are any stops along the way, we will transition to the Crescent Observer.
I do want to have one side conversation with Alec on the way, if that's okay.
Go for it.
So as we're walking, and Cyrus has already offered to watch Emerson, and so he will approach Alec under the I will, as you're talking, I will certainly keep an eye on Emerson for you. Not that he needs that, but in the meantime,
He'll
well,
appreciate the attention.
well, as will I think. I did want to give you something.
A gift.
As you said that, well, think of it as a loan. As you said, perhaps sometimes you rub people the wrong way with the right intentions, but I want to loan you something for now. It's a bit of good luck, and it was a gift when I was much younger from one of my older brothers. And I keep it, and it's always brought me a bit of luck in potentially a tight spot. So if there's a moment where you need a little extra help, intervention, perhaps maybe it'll do for you what it's done for me on a number of occasions. And he reaches out, and in his hand is it's a small wooden carved whale. It's just like a little whale, being from a whaling family. It's a gift from my older brother, Colin, and he's always looked out for me. So as you go in there and have your interactions, perhaps it'll go a little better. And so he reaches this out to you. And so mechanically, I am using my new ability called Blessing, and I can bless an object or a person once per session, and you get a +2 to a future roll if you want it.
Nice.
So
That's
so
really
anyway.
cool. What a
is
great
very cool.
ability.
I mean, typically it's supposed to be a priestly thing, but I'm gonna do witchy woo
Witchy woo.
woo witchy woo woo it. So
I like
so you get the magic whale.
The
Alec,
magic whale.
Alec will take the magic whale, and as Cyrus is talking, Alec did not make any eye contact, and when given the whale, would continue to have eyes away from Cyrus, and would just stroke the shiny, worn wood of the whale, would clear their throat a few times, and then again glance away, and then say, "Thank you. This is very kind. I will remember it, Cyrus. You're a good man."
Well, thank you. Hopefully, Colin will be watching out for you like he watches out for me. And then he will step away, and then as he does kind of under his breath say, "All right, Colin, you watch out for Alec now," and just kind of let that drift off. So
As you make your way down the street, excuse me, this conversation happens, and you find yourselves down a bustling corner of the French Quarter. You see before you, affixed with a sign, the Crescent Observer, is a two-story Creole townhouse. The exterior is weathered from humidity and the storms of the area, but still boasts a a decorative ironwork balcony with a slightly like pastel, you think at one point, color. There are large bay windows that face the cobblestone streets where you can glimpse a scene of the busy work life inside. A wooden sign hangs above the entrance, painted with the newspaper's like the script of the newspaper's title, the C being a crescent moon, not unlike a symbol you have seen many times. You see the crescent moon there before you. There are people moving to and fro, two stories there. You see someone sort of scuttle out from the thing and from the front door and begin to like make their way around the building towards some back alley. What do you guys do?
I think Signy kind of pauses at the base of the stairs to the front entrance and just kind of looks up to the building, and I guess kind of looks like she's trying to either psych herself up or like gather herself for going inside. Well, this is it.
Alec looks over to Martha and says, come, Martha, we will need your youth and charm."
Oh, of course. And she puts on her best ladylike airs and ascends the steps into the building.
Okay.
And Cyrus says, "And if you'd like, Martha, I'm already watching Emerson. I can keep an eye on Eddie for you as well, if you'd like."
Oh, that might be a good idea. You know, not everybody is comfortable around the Raven, I've noticed.
Eddie alights and lands on the wrought iron fencing nearby to where Cyrus and Emerson are.
And maybe Wylas, you keep Cyrus company?
You say that, and she was already 3 steps towards Cyrus, and she just looks back to you like you caught her, and she goes, "Oh, yes, that's great. That's great."
Good idea, Wyla. Good idea.
Where does William go? Are you attending them inside the newspaper, or are you hanging out with the outside crew?
No, I'll go in with the crew.
Okay. As the 4 of you make your way inside, the floor is a buzz with activity. People are kind of moving back and forth. It's essentially a frenzy here. There's been several murders, and this is the local newspaper in town. There's a lot to report on. You see there are stacks of paper. The whole room smells of that like irony ink smell. And that like pulp from paper, like that wet kind of wet paper smell. Everything here is tinged with a very metallic smell. You see the desks are cluttered with paper. You see there are notes scrawled across places, pinned to boards. You see a bunch of people kind of in like a dressed down version of William and Alec, right? They do absolutely have like white button down shirts on. They all have like bands on their arms to keep their shirt sleeves from like sliding. And they are sort of moving a little bit more disheveled due to the speed at which they are moving. You see at the back of the room, there is like a large like cubby system where like you see rolls of paper are sort of in those things. There's a large chalkboard on one side where you see like notes scrawled across them, like the word urgent, a couple of like potential headlines you imagine for upcoming news breaks. And the air does sort of reek of tobacco as you see a number of people with pipe of some kind. As you walk in here, you sort of blend in, honestly, with the hubbub around here. You did see someone hurriedly exit this place, and you can infer from that there is a lot of coming and going here. What are you doing? No one stops you from entering, but also no one addresses there's no host here or hostess. No one addresses your entrance.
Is there like a front desk type thing?
You look around to see one, and you are almost entirely in like what would be a bullpen. So there does not seem to be any, unless you're here to drop off information on local news. There does not seem to be any sort of. They don't cater to guests, as it were.
So Martha would just so Alec's trying to get in front of her, but she walks purposely in front of Alec because Alec originally said to follow her, but then when she gets in, she hurries up her steps, so she walks in front of Alec, catches the first person kind of that is running hurriedly that looks like maybe they might know what they're talking about, and it kind of catches him by the arm and says, "Excuse me, the sisterhood has become aware of some goings on in New Orleans that is of grave importance and deep concern, and we would like to speak to Alec. What was the name again?"
Jean-Paul Fontaine.
Jean-Paul Fontaine.
Jean-Paul Fontaine, she says in her best French accent.
It's your regular accent.
who is the author of one of the articles that caught our attention.
Wait, I just want to make sure. Does Martha put on more of an accent?
Well, yeah, when she's saying the French name, she just, says it very Frenchy.
Okay, so you say French names like every Italian says Italian food. Okay, got it.
En français.
I was gonna say your accent is appropriate. You're from here. It's just your regular accent. You grab a boy. He's probably like maybe a year or two older than you.
So mature.
So mature. Blonde hair, a pimple or two. You see that like part of his shirt is untucked from his pants, and he was absolutely headed somewhere. It's like a bundle of papers in his hand. As you sort of grab him and spin him a little bit, he almost like loosens some of the papers. You can see that at some of the words are hitting his brain of what you were saying, but once you say the accented Jean-Paul Fontaine, he looks to you and says, "Oh, second floor, like third desk on the left." And he kind of like tugs his arm back and quickly hurries. You see him head downstairs into a basement.
And Martha calls back, "Thank you, child."
Yep. And he down to the basement.
"Well, there we go," she says to Alec. "Second floor, third desk."
Oh, lead on, Martha.
So she does, with her nun habit, acting like she belongs there.
As Alec follows Martha, they light up their own pipe, their own tobacco pipe.
Okay. Nun with okay.
Yeah, so he just like puts their hands in their pockets of her skirt and just like, and she follows the Alec and Martha.
How worldly is Signy?
I don't know. Can you give me a little bit more context?
Yeah, I mean, you come from like a small town in Scotland.
Yeah.
right?
Little village.
Um, how worldly are you with technology?
Mm, well, she's traveled around. Like when she left her village, she probably went to Edinburgh. That's probably where she got her education, and then eventually made it to the New World, and whatever she would be encountering on a normal day-to-day basis.
Yeah, then I think you might not be acquainted with it. So I'll say that you I think Martha would also be less acquainted with it, but like it sort of passes by.
The indoor plumbing was like, what?
Yeah. Indoor plumbing is pretty stellar.
We
But
need this at home.
you seem apropos of nothing, Signy, you see no one else responding to it in any way, including Alec. But you hear a constant like a buzzing sound in this place, like a pattern, like nonstop. And you look around, and you can see that there are wires running around this place, or like little black tubes, and there are telegraph machines here, which is not something you see very often.
Yeah. She probably would have seen those, but like not like never used one.
Yeah. So you see there are two telegraph machines in here, which probably gets the news from all over the what makes for these here United States at this current time. So yeah, you see that as Martha leads you all upstairs. Martha, you pass up through a narrow wooden staircase. One person at a time can go up this, and it is fairly steep as you make your way up here. And you move up to a much quieter floor. There's still so much of the noise that from downstairs sort of carries upward, and there is noise in here, but this is offices. So the same sort of size floor plan as downstairs, but these are offices sort of sectioned off, and you do see on the left-hand side an office with the name Jean-Paul Fontaine on it. You also see a name, Remy Dubois. You also see Lucas Grant. You see all of the names of like the primary writers of the Crescent Observer. But you do see Jean-Paul Fontaine. Where do you guys go?
So Martha turns to Alec and says, what are we going to ask him again?
Signy?
She steps out from behind William. And she's, well, first we'll at least gauge the air with him regarding any information he may know about the murders, and depending on how receptive he is, and she's lowering her voice so she's not broadcasting their plan across the whole floor. Perhaps we could offer him some tidbits of information.
An exclusive.
Yeah.
And
how much do we want him to know?
Yeah,
well,
you spoke earlier about revealing the ceremony. Is that what you have in mind? Depending.
Yes, like and she lowers her voice even more and like moves in like closer to everybody. For example, I don't think we should drop anything about this Messiah or this child, but at most possibly the murders leading to a grander ritual of sinister portents.
He may want to know how we found out about that.
What do we want to walk away with, Signy? What is our goal?
An ally, maybe? But of course,
information,
we don't know
maybe?
If he can give us anything.
An ally would be wonderful.
But if he could also, if the conversation goes well, perhaps he can shed some light on it. A spotlight, if you will.
Ah.
Evil cults I was going to say typically, your everyday run-of-the-mill cult. No, most cults, I assume, don't want their secrets out and about.
I see. So you think maybe we can use this connection, should we make it, in a larger way to manipulate the situation, so to speak.
Yes, it might draw them out. It might put a target on our backs, but we have to do something. And we have a name, at least, that the werewolf gave us. Maybe we could drop that.
So to be clear, are we here as hired investigators or nuns or census workers?
Not census workers, and you're the only nun here, Martha.
So
You know?
we're here at the behest of Cyrus's contact.
But we're not going to give her
No,
name.
no.
Okay.
The person hired us is remaining anonymous, and we are investigating.
And our association with the Men of Letters?
I think that's irrelevant to this conversation, at least.
It's true. Men of Letters have some sort of history here. We don't know what we might stumble into.
Yeah, and Martha, you did mention to the young gentleman there that the church is concerned about the murders.
Well, as I'm sure they are.
Signy, go ahead and roll me observation.
Okay. Can I also use my sixth sense?
4.
But any extra so I have to succeed pretty well. Spend extra successes to learn if any Vaesen are in the area, or if magic has been used.
Yeah.
Okay. Investigation. Come on, roll 20. Did that work?
Investigation.
One success.
So
did
that
you say
is
investigation or observation?
I said observation, but investigation is also fine. It was more of a intuition sort of thing, but a 6 is a 6.
Okay.
You mentioned Martha's mention of the sisterhood of the nuns to the boy. The boy went downstairs, and you look around the first floor. You looked around the second floor here. You're fairly certain that the basement contains the printing press, and that he is not up here, and has not had time to tell anyone. So likely the only person who knows anything about the nuns being interested is that one boy, and he did not seem to give a shit.
That's true. That's true. It could be a good angle, though, if we need to use it.
Well, perhaps, since the journalist is a man, that either one of the men should lead, or she looks Alec up and down with her pipe. Alec, she says, kind of with a question mark above her head. Boop.
I think we should follow Miss Signy's lead in this.
Well, we can certainly try, but sometimes the men don't respond well when the ladies get too questiony.
Well,
Not
then they should
incorrect.
change.
Then she gives a look to William. Yeah.
What did I do?
I'm so glad Cyrus is not there.
She will look to William, though, not in any sassy way. She's like, William, do you have any thoughts? Not about
The thoughts he did have are gone already.
Not about what Martha just said, but just of our plan in general.
No, and I do apologize for the constant distraction. There is
All right.
This morning started out crap, and every about 5 minutes there's a slam or a scream or a child going nuts out there. So I have not been fully present today.
It's all right.
Well, Martha grabs Alec's top hat, stuffs Signy's hair up in it and sticks it on her head.
Sorry, what do you stick in my hair?
The top hat.
Oh,
Well, there. Maybe that'll work a little bit better.
I'm not here to pretend to be something I'm not, Martha. And she takes the hat off and passes it back to Alec.
We'll be fine. We'll just have to have a little faith, Martha. Shall
Well,
we?
of faith, I have plenty. You clearly don't know New Orleans, but she follows anyway.
That is also true. Yeah, and I guess they will head to his Monsieur Fontaine's door.
You head over to his door, and you see that there is a glass door. This is Jean-Paul Fontaine on his door. The door is ajar, and you can hear a cordial business-related conversation happening about newspaper jargon. And as you walk through, you can see through the windows, there's a woman who is sort of sat on the edge of his desk, speaking to him as he is writing something down. And as you approach, she kind of looks through the window, and you see her lean down and sort of mention your presence before she scoots off the corner of the desk. And he says, let him in. And she opens the door, ushering you in. She says, is there something I can help you with?
Oh, good morning. We're looking to speak with Monsieur Fontaine, if he has free time.
He does. By all means, you're already here. And she kind of slides out of the door behind all of you guys and closes it on her exit.
Okay.
What do I owe this pleasure to?
Good morning, Mr. Fontaine. My name is Signy Welker, and these are my colleagues, Martha LeBlanc, Alec McKinley, and William Wellen? Is that how you say it?
Waylon.
Whalen. We've actually come to talk to you about the articles that you wrote regarding the mysterious murders that are happening in the city past couple weeks.
Oh, you and everybody else. There's not much more information outside of what's been published. What are you? Do you have a lead? Do you have anything specifically?
Well, possibly. It's hard to be sure. We're new to the city, but we've actually been hired as private investigators by a concerned citizen.
Okay.
And
So you need my help.
Yes, that would be great. Maybe we can help each other. May we sit?
You say that, and you look around, and there is no seats here.
Oh, okay.
Hence
She
why the woman
wouldn't
was
say
sat
that.
on the corner of his desk.
Okay, then she wouldn't say that if there was nowhere to sit. Your articles were very informative. Specifically, the historic graveyard being vandalized. Very unfortunate business.
I agree. It's been a lot of strange occurrences recently. The murders, most of all.
From what I've learned about this fine city, is that strange occurrences may not be that rare.
I mean, none so strange as these.
Are you familiar at all with a lot of the occult goings on?
Oh, if you're one of those, then you should probably look in on Mr. Grant down the row. That's more his area of I don't know, lucid fantasy. If you're looking for the truth and hard-hitting information, then you've come to the right place. If you'd like to be spun a tale, Mr. Grant down the end, he can assist you with that.
Right. So when Mr. Grant writes about like secret societies and ancient feuds, you you don't think that holds any credit or any?
Are there such things as secret societies, perhaps fraternal brotherhoods, orders, organizations? Yeah, sure. I'm sure there are. Do I think that they're puppeteering the government of New Orleans here? Do I think they're controlling the flow of commerce in and out of the city? Do I think they're sacrificing I don't know, children to sate some blood pact? No, I think that's objectively ridiculous.
Sir, the reason that we are in your office and not in another office is that we soon found after reading your articles that they were very well researched and they were based in fact and data.
That's what I aim to do, yes.
And facts and data are what we are hoping to trade in. Now, as you say, it is possible that there are secret societies, and I'm sure that if you found the facts that would lead you to believe that there were secret societies, you would say so. Is that not the case?
Yeah, if that led me to that distinct conclusion, sure, I can imagine.
Very well, then I believe that we are all in accord.
Either way, as I said, there's not a whole lot that hasn't been published. Well, there is a lot that hasn't been published, but there's a reason why most of it hasn't been published. Editorials, et cetera, et cetera. But most of the information that is publicly releasable has been put out there.
What kind of information is not being published?
Ooh, that sounds like a roll to me. Go ahead and roll me manipulate.
Oh, sweet. Definitely gonna do that.
You get to add your Crescent Observer boost, right?
Oh, and my deceptive.
Well, are you deceiving?
Okay. Well,
Are you?
I'm trying to deceptive gives me +2 to my manipulation.
Yes, but if
Oh.
you're being deceptive.
Well, I'm trying to make him tell me things, so
Is that inherently deceptive? I don't think you've lied to him at all.
no.
Quick, come
but-
up with a lie, G. Come up with a lie.
Damn it, Mike!
I'm also a centerfold model. Does that
Yeah.
change your? Does that
Take
make
that.
Well,
He'll look at you and say, "What is a centerfold? Excuse me.
Yeah.
This is the 1800s. We don't have magazines yet. We
well,
don't have staples either."
like he doesn't know her, and the fact that she's asking all this information, she's trying to at least appear like trustworthy and someone who he can divulge information to.
Yeah,
And
but
she
that's
did-
not deceiving.
Yeah.
No.
So you're not deceiving. Here's why I'm being a butt. You wrote down deceptive +2 manipulation. The book says gain +2 to manipulation when cheating and deceiving. So you are doing neither of those things.
Fine. Unless I'm cheating him out of information.
You are currently asking him is not cheating him out of it. So yeah, you do get the +2 for Crescent Observer knowledge. You can sort of
Yeah.
weave the fact that you are
Well,
not talking out
yes.
of your ass.
And
to
I've
this.
been quoting his article title
Yeah.
and then the articles of Grant, stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Oops. 1 success.
Okay. So he looks to you, takes in everything that you are saying, and he says, well, I mean, obviously we've kept the gorier details out of the print. There's no reason to, spin the city up into shock and terror. You seem like fairly learned folk. You mentioned a doctor. Well, I've been able to identify that there are two kinds of murders. One seems to have left the bodies torn apart. The other one seems to have some sort of strange markings on their bodies. And most, if not all, that we have been able to encounter of the savaged attacks are all, for some reason, missing their heart. Which we absolutely kept out of the press for what I can assume you can understand for good reasons.
Of course, of course.
And I'll be honest, I think Commissioner Duval is thinks that this may be the act of two different, I don't know, groups, or I am under the belief that this is connected somehow. I think that these murders are happening too close together, and they're too strange to not be connected. It'd be one thing if it was, one, a stabbing in an alleyway or something of the kind, or a rich person shot in the gardens. But this seems to be two separate, strange occurrences, and the closeness of them, both in proximity and time, lead me to believe that they are somehow connected. I'm not entirely sure how as of yet, but that also hasn't been. I didn't want to add some conspiracy theorists and amateur sleuths.
Is that obviously you have your sources and you want to protect them, so I completely understand that. But is that an opinion of yours, or is that something that you have heard?
That they are tied together?
Yes.
I'd like to think that it's an educated opinion of mine. Yes.
Mm. Yes. 6 hearts being missing is moves past the realm of coincidence. I would have to agree. Yeah,
and the also strange symbols being carved. It's you can kill someone quickly. You come up behind someone in an alley and clobber them over the head, or stab them in the back. But to take the time to carve something into their body, or to savage a body in a way that looks like an animal attack, it takes too much time.
Well, it was definitely very specific, wouldn't you agree? No other parts of the body were affected other than the heart.
Correct. And from what I can see, those are some of the only similarities between the bodies. The people, the victims, as it were, they're from all walks of life. There have been drifters, shopkeeps. There's been and he looks over at Martha for a second, and you kind of can't tell if he's looking between like how young she is or that she's a nun. And he women of the oldest profession. A slew of people ranging all walks of life. There's no commonality between the deceased. Locations, perhaps, they're all as macabre as you would say this would be. They're all places you would think a murder would happen: an alley, an abandoned building, a hidden corner of a cemetery, and anywhere that secrecy is abound, or shadows, is where we are finding these. So the only commonality is the strangeness of the murder.
Yes.
Would it help your investigations to know what the symbol was that was carved on the bodies?
I've seen there seems to be a symbol of a moon.
But to know what it represents, to know what the actual meaning of the symbol is.
Yeah, sure. At first we thought it was a calling card for here. We had our entire team investigated. But if you have some sort of insight into that, yeah.
Well, the Sisterhood knows quite a bit about the arcane arts in order to protect ourselves, of course. And it is well known that that symbol is the symbol for silver.
Signy
in
nod.
witchcraft.
Okay, well, you had me there at the beginning. Interesting that it has to do with silver. And you see him like write it down. And anyone who's paying attention to Jean Paul, go ahead and make me an observation. Actually, an observation or
Investigation.
sorry, you know what? An investigation or a vigilance.
Investigation. 2 for me.
You had asked previously, G. Did you want to use your whatever
Yep.
your talent was?
Yeah. If I can spend that second success.
Yeah.
Are we
Yes.
all rolling
So,
investigation? Can I roll it too?
if you'd like, if you are paying attention to what Jean Paul Fontaine is doing.
Yeah, Martha just told him, offered that the symbol, the crescent symbol, it means silver.
Okay, cool. So for everyone's success, you see him write down like a crescent moon shaped symbol, and then write silver question mark. The more important thing is right above that, you see that he has written before anyone could notice LeBlanc, and then an arrow, and then the gardens question mark. And Martha, that's where your family lives. In the nice part of the French Quarter, the gardens. Your last name was mentioned, and he
Shit.
is putting 2 and 2 together.
Damn it, I know, I totally forgot that she's using an alias. Fuck.
Oh, what happened to LeBlarf?
Yeah.
This was gonna
Totally
happen.
forgot.
We kind of knew this was gonna
Fuck.
happen.
No, to the
Totally
newspaper
been like-
man.
Listen,
Honestly, I
sessions
wanted this to
with
happen. I can't
Ray.
wait for
I
an
let
encounter
it
between her and her
happen, and then I
parents.
waited for Martha to correct you, and at no point did any of that happen. So it was fair game. So yeah, you would all Signy, I'm sorry. Everyone sees that. Everyone sees that he has written LeBlanc, and then a little arrow, and then the gardens. Anyone familiar with New Orleans would know that in the French Quarter, the French Quarter is kind of like a higher society area of the city. Big touristy and nice houses. But the gardens is like the upper crust. And Miss LeBlanc, that's where your family is from. Signy, your sixth sense, I would like you to explain to me what your sixth sense is. How do you detect if magic has been used or a Vaesen is in the area? What about you? What do you have on your physically, mentally? What gives you this heightened sense?
I think it might be her shield knot medallion, which is a symbol of protection. And she was in the presence of at least a Vaesen ghost last night and experienced some pretty weird shit in terms of visions. Maybe she feels the kind of like a shiver, like the hair on her arm stands up or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, you feel that. There is a Vaesen in the vicinity. Vicinity is kind of vague, but there is a Vaesen in the vicinity.
Hmm. Yeah, in the area. It's the talent is very vague as to
Yeah, so it says
area,
when making an investigation check, you may spend extra successes to learn if a Vaesen has been in the area. Gain more or less vague impressions on what kind of Vaesen it is, and find out if magic has been used. Magic has not been used. There is a Vaesen in the area. Vague impressions of what it could be. Interesting.
Brr.
The impressions are feminine.
Feminine. Okay.
That's all you get, though.
Oh yeah, it's receptionist. Yes.
Cool. So yeah, you all see him write this down as Martha gives him the clue about the silver. He takes it down. You know, he doesn't write anything about witchcraft that Martha added there, but he does write down the fact that that maybe that's something.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he doesn't believe in it doesn't mean someone else doesn't believe in some wacky hoodoo,
Cockamamie.
some witchy woo woo, as it were.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about any of that. I know that Commissioner Duval is doing his best to keep a lid on most things. The last thing he wants is that somebody he starts screaming about a deranged killer on the loose, or you know, as Grant would have you believe, some ritual. I don't know. I know we're pretty far and away, and it's been quite a bit of time, but I don't know. Some witch came down from Boston and started performing some sort of nonsense here. We do have a bit of you know, seances are the new hip
Yes.
thing here,
Why
but
I wouldn't sell your occult community short here, Mr. Fontaine. They don't have to come down from New England. Sorry, wouldn't be called New England. From Boston, wouldn't they? Don't you have people here?
we have a burgeoning group of what they consider themselves as naturalists, I guess. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, if we're going to entertain flights of fancy, what could you hypothesize that these hearts are being used for, if not for some kind of ritual?
I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping the hearts aren't being used for anything. I'd like to leave it at the fact that they were removed, and hope that that's just what's happening. Yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't put much stock in who or where they are, or who's been taking them.
Because
for what purpose, rather?
if you were to pick up any occult book worth its salt, you would know that hearts are extremely powerful in terms of being used for ritualistic purposes.
I'll have to believe you on that one.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that your biases are blinding you to potential avenues to investigate.
With respect, of course.
I report on what's happening. If the
You
police
report.
would like to bark up that tree, then they can do so.
And I thought you were an investigative reporter.
Yes, I investigate by means of talking to a handful of people and getting their side of things, but I'm not here to solve the crime.
And they provide you leads in order to uncover information that you might want to share with your readership.
Or not share, depending on the volatile nature of this.
That's
I've
fair.
spoken with Commissioner Duval, and he has not mentioned any sort of witchcraft involving hearts to me, so I have not pursued that avenue.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm trying not to be confrontational here, so I don't want it to come off that she is.
Sure.
Okay? The Commissioner Duval, does he have similar opinions as you of the craft?
It would seem like that. I've never had a frank discussion with the man about it. It seems like a ridiculous topic to broach. We do have his statement. We published it a day or two ago. If you're interested in seeing that.
Was it the one where he's calling for calm in the face of horror? That article? Commissioner
more or
Duval
less.
urges calm.
Yeah, more or less. I don't think you guys have seen that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a new one or the one you gave us.
Did I give it to you?
You gave me 4. He calls for rationality in the face of horror.
The title.
Yeah, the title of the article.
This is the actual article, like what the
Oh.
commissioner's actual full-on statement is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you would share it, I would.
Yeah.
I would be...
I'll show all of you. It reads, in recent weeks, our city has been shaken by a series of tragic incidents that have claimed the lives of several of our citizens. I want to assure the public that the New Orleans Police Department is fully committed to bringing those responsible to justice. We have mobilized additional resources and are working around the clock to investigate these crimes. We understand the community's concern and fear given the nature of these murders. However, I urge everyone not to give in to unfounded speculation and rumors, especially those suggesting supernatural involvement. Such theories only serve to distract from the factual investigation and do not contribute to our understanding of the situation. We are following up on multiple leads and collaborating with other law enforcement agencies to ensure a thorough investigation. I also want to emphasize the importance of community cooperation in these events. If you have any information that could be relevant to these cases, no matter how insignificant it might be, please come forward and speak to us. To the families of the victims, my heart goes out to you. We are doing everything in our power to provide you with answers and the justice you deserve. In the meantime, I ask for the media and public to respect their privacy and allow them to grieve in peace. Let's come together as a community to support one another during this difficult time. Remember, the strength of New Orleans lies in its unity and resilience. Thank you.
Is he does it look like he is covering anything up to Martha? Like, do I suspect that he actually is not investigating witchcraft because he doesn't want people to find out about the witchcraft because he's actually, for example, a witch?
Roll me observation.
Well, I think this is the equivalent of thoughts and prayers, essentially. And I could be wrong, but I immediately noticed something that is off about it.
Martha, you read this and like that may be your first thought, but like that may be your first thought because now you live in a world where like if you're called in, it's probably something that goes bump in the night, whereas most people don't. And so when you hear hooves, you don't think zebra, you think horses. So he is using science and reasoning and logic to say, yeah, there's probably not a ghost. It's probably a person who's doing these murders, and we're trying to find the person. The reason is less important as to the justice done to the person. So he's very dismissive of. It sounds very dismissive of anything supernatural, but doesn't seem like anything conspiratorial.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I just think this is a very generic, placating statement. Obviously, it's made for people not to freak out over, because when we talked to the coroner, aren't almost all of the bodies unclaimed?
Correct.
Yeah. So when he says to the families of the victims, no one claimed the bodies of these victims. So it's just like, who are you talking to, dude? But I think so. That's just like a general.
Yeah, it's definitely a public
latitude.
statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. She will hand it back to him.
Miss LeBlanc, you seem to be fairly knowledgeable about these things. Do you have any insight to? And he like rifles through a couple of pieces of paper. You have any insight into this? And he pulls out a small piece of parchment that has like a charcoal etching on it, and you see that it is the alchemical symbols of the spirit mercury, sulfur, and salt.
So I look at it and I say, oh, yes, as a matter of fact, the original sisterhood from whence I came, from Nacogdoches, stressing that. So
Okay.
so that he will think that she is far from originating in the gardens in New Orleans. We actually had special classes on the occult because the occult was so rampant in Nacogdoches. Now, I am with you, of course. These rituals that they practice do not work. However, there are people that believe that they work, and so, it makes them no less dangerous, certainly. So we did have to learn about them, and those symbols were whatever you just told me the symbols were.
Okay. Spirit, mercury, sulfur, and salt.
Yes.
Yes. You would know that those are also the symbols you have seen several places in like well, Cyrus probably, I imagine Cyrus and Wyla would have mentioned that they are the symbols that were seen inside the cemetery. You've seen them in other places as well around this place in reference to the sites of where the murders were and things of that nature. They're also the symbols that you drew in your writing.
Mike, Alec thinks it's curious that it's charcoal because charcoal smudges a lot. Charcoal would be used in certain circumstances, and so Alec's going to pay really close attention to that and look at it.
Like all
Is there
cave drawings
anything
are
you're
done.
trying to decipher from that? I can tell you why it's charcoal.
That's what I want to
it's
know
a-
because that seems
great.
curious to me.
Great. It's an etching. So like it was
Yes.
carved into something, and someone
Okay.
used that to carve over it.
Yeah, so that was what my guess was. So Alec will touch the paper and say, "Oh, where did this come? Where did this originate from?"
Oh, this is carved into one of the walls, I think. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure at this moment. But it's one of the walls, or perhaps one of the mausoleums at the St. Louis Cemetery.
You're not sure.
I'm not sure if it's a wall or if it's one of the mausoleums specifically. It was turned in.
Oh, I see.
It-
You didn't.
it wasn't for
You
me.
did not collect this yourself.
Correct.
It was handed in
Yes.
by.
He starts like rifling through paperwork. He pulls out a little journal and begins to flip this back and forth. Says, "I feel like I'm letting you down here, but I actually don't think I wrote down the person's name.
Oh,
It didn't seem to lead to anything either. They said they saw this carved into a wall or carved into stone inside the cemetery. They said that it wasn't there prior, like the day before, and it's in the vicinity of where one of the bodies are found, in that one of the bodies was found in the cemetery. I took it in case it comes up useful. No one else has reported any of these symbols before. But your friend seems to be learned of symbology, so
you don't strike me as a person who fails to write down the name of a witness.
I am when they don't come to me directly, and I'm getting them through a secretary or,
A third party.
a third party.
Thank you.
You can check with Colette. Maybe she knows.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously there are, obviously the occult, I don't know, tourist scene has picked up here. We have Laveau and her seances. There's a number of naturalists and a few other practitioners of cons is what I would call them, charlatans. But they do drum up some sort of business. They do play on some myths and some legends and stories and judging by your accent, people from out of town seem to eat that up, and it increases revenue in places and it drives tourism. And in a post-bellum world, that's what we need right now to recover. So I'm not going to turn anything down, but
Are you implying, sir, that these murders are happening to encourage tourism?
You see him. You see him stop for a moment. Go ahead and roll me observation. Anyone who is in the room can roll me observation. It looks like
Show
successes
ones.
from William, from Signe, from Martha,
A lot of succeeding
and from,
today.
and from Alec.
Very solid.
Yeah, all of you, without a shadow of a doubt, as soon as Alex says that, the look on his face says that he has never once thought that before, and then you see him maintain eye contact with Alec and immediately start writing down something on the piece of paper that also has LeBlanc on it. Like you just gave him an interesting angle that he has previously never even thought of.
Alex gonna glance down at the paper. What did he write?
He said, murder for tourism. Question mark. And he looks to you and he says, I wasn't saying that. But that, I mean, not an article I would normally write, but that does seem, it could fit.
And where would be the first stop you would have to further investigate this idea? Surely something is coming to mind. These were the words that you said. I only echoed them back to you. There's some genius brewing within you. What is your next step?
I would send someone to speak with the Laveau woman. She seems to be connected to everything that is in that wheelhouse.
Laveau.
If she doesn't know who to talk to, then I'm not sure who would.
Interesting.
Now, she's a hard one to get a hold of. She's pretty popular these days. But not me. What I've heard, the word on the street, and the line outside of her salon, is quite formidable. Now, there's a. I will say, and please don't take this the wrong way. There is, in fact, a one or more murderers on the loose here, and not a threat, but please do be careful. I don't know what your credentials are outside the sister and the doctor, but they are murdering across the city, and seem to be picking up quite a pace. I would hate to see, amateur investigators stumble into the crosshairs of something here. I would hate to have anything that's said here in this office come back to bite anyone its ass.
Alec raises an eyebrow at the amateur term and then says something like, yes, indeed, in times like these, we must all have our eyes open.
I agree. Now, if you have credible sources or evidence, I'll happily work with whatever you have there, or I'll send it right to Commissioner Duval, depending on what it is. So if you have anything worth a story, by all means, you're welcome to bring it here, and I can suss out whatever I can with that, and we can make something out of it.
Oh, I don't think any of us could compare to your investigative prowess. I believe we're done here. And Alec's statement ends in a question as they look around the room.
Signe will nod.
Yeah, so will William.
I have a
final. Okay.
long drive to Nacogdoches this weekend.
Yes, we must get you back home to Nacogdoches.
Yes, to visit my folks. where I'm
And
from.
in the same condition we found you. She smiles jokingly.
You see him on that same piece of paper, right underneath the gardens. He writes, Texas, question mark. There will be follow-up. If you don't think that's gonna come back, it for sure is.
Thank you for entertaining our questions today, Mr. Fontaine.
Of course.
Very, very informative, and I look forward to reading more articles from you in the future.
Well, I'm always happy to meet someone who actually reads the articles. And again, and if you have anything credible, by all means, please swing by.
Yes, we will try to refrain from any further occult rumors.
Hey, if you're following a lead, follow a lead, but keep a tempered mind.
She will kind of nod her head and give like a little curtsy, and then make her way out.
I will say, I want to say one of you did research on New Orleans in general.
Alec.
That was
Yeah, that
Alec.
was Alec before we even got here, right?
So Alec, no need to roll anything. You have an advantage on New Orleans, so I'm just going to give you this. What he said about Marie Laveau, 100% true. People are like her salon is booked. Like she does have like a beauty salon is booked, and like the upper crust of society are the people who are hiring her for seances. It will be very difficult to get a hold of her. And you know that from like your research into New Orleans before you even came down here, because that's a prominent, like essentially a famous person that you had time to research into the local legend lore of the location. Not impossible, just very difficult to get a sit down with her. Unless you have like a standing familial appointment at her salon,
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, if one
Miss-
were to have that
Miss
kind of
LeBlarf.
Yeah, so when we closed the door behind us, Signy's kind of like looking not annoyed, but just that did not go the way that I guess she was hoping it would. She eyes Martha, Alec, and William, and she will lean in close to them, and she says very quietly under her breath, "There's a Vaesen in the area. I can sense it."
Well, we best check on Cyrus then.
I didn't even think about Cyrus. Yeah, okay.
Vaesen are so thirsty all the
Yeah.
time.
And I did say it's a feminine energy
It-
too.
yeah, she's
So it's like it's gotta be
like-
Cyrus.
Yeah, and she'll mention, I'm getting like a feminine energy, so we better go check on him. Because she's gonna look around. Is Colette in the area?
Colette is in the area. You look around, and on the opposite wall of the like the bank of offices, there is a large it's like across the whole the whole opposite side of the room is another one huge office, and you can see on the door it has the stylized lettering archive, and you do see the back of the same woman sort of filing things away.
She's in the archive filing things.
So I do have to go because it's 2:12 here. So
Oh, we are after 3. I didn't realize we played for our time. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but it sounds like we have for the near future, possibly the grant to go talk to the other journalist, and then this kind of figuring out where this Vaesen is, possibly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I didn't get to drop a cliffhanger. But what I'll do is I'll do this. Windress, you can slide out if you'd like, and I'll pop a replacement window in here.
Okay.
I win.
Can I actually? I should leave my camera on though,
Oh, you can if you want.
or I can turn it off. Either one.
Yeah, you can turn it off.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Mike.
Ignore my desk.
Yeah.
We need one of you to leave.
The secret insides. I want to know what Cyrus is up to.
Someone's jealous.
I
Yeah.
bet you do.
Just to give us a
I miss
moment
him,
to close
okay?
out
I
here.
miss him.
We will. So as you look around, you do see the woman, the back of the woman, Colette, in there.
Yeah.
Clearly the Vaesen.
Volume
And
echo.
when you rewatch this VOD, you'll see my eyes narrow when this woman is in the room with Mr. Fontaine.
She's just a woman.
immediately so.
Anytime a woman, if you watch back the show, anytime a woman is mentioned, you'll see G's eyes narrow in suspicion, as all women are trying to steal her man. It all started back in season 2 with a crevasse.
I was right.
It's true. Vindicated.
Yes.
You see the woman Colette sort of filing things away, and we cut outside. And what do we see of Cyrus?
Cyrus is just kind of leaning against wrought iron fence. He is kind of absent-mindedly just petting Emerson, the top of Emerson's head, if you will have it. And he is and on so that's kind of with his right hand, with his back to the wrought iron. And on the left side is Eddie sitting on the wrought iron fence. And Cyrus is talking to Eddie. He's just asking him questions about, hey, what's going on with Martha, and just seeing what Eddie may or may not be willing to tell him.
You have spoken to Eddie for quite a bit of time out here.
And I'm sure
and
Wyla giving me the side eye, like, what are you doing talking to the bird? But
yeah,
he's not. It doesn't slow him down.
you have discovered that not that there was ever a question about the intelligence of crows and ravens, but Eddie has a way to communicate. You've sort of narrowed down the simplest way that Eddie communicates. It's a matter at that time. It becomes a matter of interpreting what he means. He finds a small like shell or like an acorn hat, and you have narrowed it down to knock once for yes, knock twice for no. But you'll ask a question and he'll say yes or no to the question, but does not give any further detail or cannot apply nuance to the question. So if you're like, oh, how has Martha been? You'll get a yes kind of thing. So it's a matter of interpreting what this bird could possibly mean by a yes or a no. The majority of the conversation has been figuring out, is he just tapping the shell or is he trying to communicate with me? And then you've narrowed it down to like a pattern of taps. And you're like, okay, I think maybe he is trying to communicate with me. As you begin to converse with Eddie. And because we are past the typical end time, I will transition down the streets of the French Quarter, up past Église Saint-Lumière, and towards the cemetery where we once were the night before. We see a large church, an abbey, and we see the same similar outline of Saint Therese. And inside we see a young boy, sort of, vest, a little derby hat, and he hands off a piece of parchment to one of the younger nuns. There's a word for it, a nun who hasn't taken her vows yet. I forget what they're called. Abbess? Something.
Novitiate?
That's it. Novitiate. So they head off, bringing the letter up the stairs to a large office, to which they knock on the door. There's an elderly woman that says, "Come in." None light. An elderly woman comes in, and you see the office of the Mother Superior. Large cross hangs behind her. There's a portrait of Jesus, a portrait of Mary and Joseph on the other side. Tomes align the walls. And a large book sits open in front of her as she goes about her day-to-day, duties. The novitiate sort of comes up, hands her this, and you see her take a look at it, flips it over, looks at the writing on the cover of this thing, and she slides a letter opener through the top of this thing and pulls out the parchment, to which she begins to read. Mother, it must indeed come as a surprise to receive, etc., 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 as she reads Alec's letter. And that is where we end this episode of Mundus Novus, and find out who's trying to steal your man on the next episode of our supernatural detective game. So let's go around.
It's like supernatural detective dating island game. It's like a reality show.
Tune into next month's episode of 1800s Who's Trying to Steal Your Man, the board game. So let's go around, do our outros, and then we can get the hell out of here and do our after show, and talk about this episode. So we will start. We'll start with the man stolen in question here. Cyrus, John, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Hey, I am John, playing Cyrus Kincaid. I am Ask Why in the unMadeGaming Discord. What am I up to? This is my fun outlet. So this is what I'm up to when I'm not doing those mundane things like working. So awesome. Yeah. So place to find me in the unMadeGaming Discord.
Hell yeah. Let's jump over to Matt. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I am Matt. I'm playing William Whalen. Vaughn in the Discord. Really nowhere on the internet except for the Discords. Playing World of Warcraft. So that's about it.
Hell yeah. Jumping up to Melissa. Who are you? Where can we find you, and what are you up to?
Hi, y'all. I'm Melissa Meyer. I'm playing Alec McKinley. My handle is Draftdeer, wherever you can find me. And that is generally in unMadeGaming because I like hanging out with the community and playing games with them. So that's me.
Heck yeah. And last but not least, G, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Hi, I'm the Friendly Neighborhood Lightning Invoker. You can find me in the Discord for unMadeGaming. I mod for all the regular streams, and I play in all things Patreon, such as this game, The Rise, the one-shots which were yesterday. And Melissa and I also play in Atari Twilight Age of Always, which is hopefully is in 2 weeks. And that's me.
Hell yeah. That's it from us. If you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is over on our Patreon, link in the description down below. While you're down there, make sure you click on that Discord link, join us in the Discord to be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. And unlike typically, I will remind you, this Thursday, Thursday, we have a new show coming out. It is another Vaesen show. It is called The Witching Hour. It is set in New England, and in theory, it's set all around New England. But I'll tell you what, I have several mysteries planned, and at the rate that Mundus Novus is going, it takes about 14-ish episodes for one mystery, so I may be overzealous in the 5 or 6 mysteries that I planned for a 6 to 8 week long campaign. So we'll see.
Mike, is this the same universe? Is it the same?
I don't know yet. It is Here's what I'll say. It is the same multiverse. They are playing in New England. They are playing in Coven Crest. They are playing in the 1800s. I don't know if it is the same Coven Crest as Mundus Novus is, or if it is an alternate universe in the unMadeGaming cinematic universe. But they will be playing out of Coven Crest. They will be all over all over New England. Is my plan.
If they get plumbing, I'm gonna riot.
They don't get plumbing. They
Okay.
don't get anything that you don't have. It is the same. And that being said,
and if they're
go ahead.
solving mysteries under 12 to 14 episodes, we're just dumb.
My goal, my goal is to have a mystery solved per episode. That might be overzealous. So it's 2 hours per mystery. So
Wow.
who the hell knows what happens? I might
We
have to
can't
cut
even
down
decipher what we're gonna have for breakfast in one episode.
in 2 hours. And I will also be publishing Coven Crest Manor for you to use in your own Vaesen games if you'd like to have your games set in New England. So that'll be up on drive-through within the next week before that game, before Thursday. So the next 4 days. That being said, that's it from us. We will see you guys next time. So from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.
Bye.